Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here, and to give you a Dibs ML Journals. It's been a long since we've done one of these entries, and you probably are wondering, Dib, why are you doing it now then? I'm doing it now because I've just stumbled upon this guy. I'm like when I actually saw him in a habitat, I was like, oh yeah, I have this guy, don't I? I have this man, don't I? It's like, oh, yeah, when did I get rabies? And then I remember, oh yeah, there was a breeding event. So yeah, this is now I did remember in the past saying Ukaduma would be the next guy. In all honesty, I'll probably just make Ukaduma after this one. And where I don't, did I ever post that? I don't ever remember I did. I could have sworn I made the video, but I never posted it. But whatever, you guys came here to talk about, we came here to talk about rabies today. Now rabies is actually, it gives all players a heart attack. If anyone knows what rabies does, every player has a heart attack, just concerned for this man's health. This is the most self-destructive monster in the game. A boy rabies, aka peg leg. That's how I call him. So basically, what if you don't know what the thing with old rabies here? Rabies basically does an insane amount of burst damage at the cost of his own life. Now, there are a few skills that don't cost any risks. Like so one. I think I have like one skill that basically does damage, but there's no drawback to it. The only, I guess you could say, only downside is it's like 40 damage, but it's also his only skill that doesn't kill him. So it's kind of like a safety precaution, and I do run that in the recommended build I will recommend you guys for today. Really hard monster to keep alive. Again, he is the most self-destructive monster in the game. Again, if you have this thing, you would know. If you ever use this in combat, you would know. It's a chore to take care of this thing. Is rabies terrible? Depends on who you pair it up with. This man can do an absurd amount of damage, but he needs a lot of babying. This monster is the most daycare, influence monster in the game. He is again self-destructive. In fact, his main concept is high risk, high reward, but there's just more risk than reward. it's actually absurd. When I actually first saw this monster, I saw his moves. I actually thought the self buff. He does have a self buff. I thought he would get like triple damage for like 3 turns. It's only 1 turn, and all of his damage is single target damage. Like, he has like an AoE that applies burning and sticky lava, but it does no damage. It's like, wow. Like, yeah. So that's the thing. Overall, I do love the design. I do love the design of this monster. It's like Diablo. Whenever I look at this thing, it's like, I just think Diablo. That game's amazing. You guys gotta play Diablo. Like, 1 and 2. 3 is 3 is fire. But yeah. For sure play 1 and 2, but whenever I look at this guy, just think Diablo. And he's got one of the cooler designs in the game, but it's just like his kit, man. It's really destructive. So what is this kit? What do I actually recommend you running? I recommend you running Fighting Frenzy, Free Violence, Fatal Fury, and Mind Heat. Mind Heat is basically a setup move. Basically, how I would actually run, how would I recommend you run Rabies is don't run him as your main damage, oddly enough. I'd say run him a strength, life, and speed. And it would be a weird comp, in all honesty, with the other 2 monsters. Like, one of them would have to be able to set up life regen, and the other one has to be like a fire monster, a monster that can do fire damage. In all honesty, I think his best partner would actually be Roxanne. Roxanne is a metal monster capable of fire damage. I do believe those two would work fairly well together. So the last monster would have to be able to set you up with some kind of form of healing, because you do need that to keep rabies alive due to the fact he's damage. His damage requires you to heal him, because both Free Violence and Fatal Fury are both really high damaging skills. Though Fatal Fury is 3-turn cooldown. But as you can see here, they both damage himself. I think if it was like 10 or 20%. Something ridiculous like that. It is a lot of life, and monsters can do this better without damaging them, like Baragator. Baragator is better. You know what else hits really hard with that setup? Shork, Bajork. Basically, a lot of modern attackers that can pretty much do AoE damage and, out damage this man. But this guy has this guy has a lot of single target damage. There's also no, in all honesty, there's no real need to use his setup move. That thing that gives you triple damage is like, oh, but Dib is a setup move. It gives him like a triple damage buff. You can run Fenrir. If you want to, in all honesty, if you that other, in the span of those two slots, it's probably the attacker spot, you could just run Fenrir and give him like triple damage if you wanted. If you want to play around with like triple damage, have fun with that. Just pair him up with Fenrir. Fenrir gives anyone triple damage. The only downside is he stuns them. However, this man's immune to stun. So there's no need to run the setup. There's no need to run that setup skill. All he needs really is another fire damage dealer, so he can set his boy up with some, set the enemies up with some sticky lava for your actual damage dealer, your more meatier, less risky damage dealer, and yeah, that's how you would do that. Again, Roxanne is your boy to pair it up with, and or other fire monsters that you can for some reason bring to the fight. I will just say, make sure you're not dealing with a water damage dealer, and you should be fine. But again, this thing does do damage. This thing was pretty much designed to do damage at the cost, again, of his own life. Do you lose some damage if you do run the life fruit? Yeah. But he stays out longer. And you're less likely to lose him in war if you do. Which is, again, why I recommend it. It's just in the case of the event where they're a tad bit too tanky, but you need to stay out there longer. You need to be able to take some of their hits, too. So just consider that. I will say the bigger that life rune, the more times he can actually use his bigger hits without actually worrying about dying. You could say think about it like this. But if both of these do cost 20 a crack, 20% life a crack, if they both cost that amount, you can think about it like if you're running AX rune, you would basically have 4 swings. Let's say if you don't take any damage at all, you basically have 4 swings in total. But in all honesty, the game will probably be over at that point once you've used these 2 moves, just because of how high the scaling is in terms of damage with them. I do believe both of these skills are around 70 damage, so this is alt damage. This is known damage to spit at. So the curve is really there's a lot of room for curving, and there's a lot of move to death. His ultimate also does damage, I believe. Yeah, it does. Okay, so this is the neat thing. His ult is a single target 90 damage skill. This is a huge bursty skill. It also sets you up with damage boost and double damage. The downside is it kills you after 2 turns. You can remove this with, again, a AoE, remove negative effects. So again, a denier. I will say if you can find this man a denier. Feel this, unless you do like a damage roll, unless if you do put this man in the damage roll, then you can just find a support that fills you in. But still do run the extra guy build. It is important that you do run that, just so you don't die right away, because you will you will get crushed, just in just like a lot of situations. That's just how it goes, because if you do run the base life, he only has like 25k life, man. If you run both of these skills, and these are mandatory skills, because they're the only moves in his kit that have the highest burst, and you just kind of have to run them. Alternatives, if you wanted to run alternatives that support monster, okay. So if you're not too crazy on any, like if you're like no life runes at all kind of guy, you can run the 2 damage and the speed. You would run the speed regardless. You can run your support with team life. That works. I do recommend I'd say Ukuduma. I'd say Ukuduma is probably his healthiest partner. If you do just run this guy as damage, you can run him as Ukuduma. Run him with Ukuduma. I think we'll test that out today here. It's interesting I bring that up because I said that would either be the next ML journal thing, and or, you know, yeah. So let's bring them out. As you can see, I don't actually have any runes on my Rabies, so I won't be doing as much damage as I want. So let's just set up some damage here. Let's bring out the Ukuduma, and let's bring out the Rabies. And for that last partner, like I did advise, we need something that can also take care of them. So what are good examples? Bastet can kind of peel off that. I will say Bastet's kind of good for peeling off the extra damage he takes because she can set him up with some shielding. I don't know if the cleave damage. I don't know if the high damaging skills. I don't know if the shields protect him from that, or it's just guaranteed you're going to lose 20% even if you have a shield on you. It's worth trying. In fact, we'll try that today. We'll try that right now. So what we'll do here, first turn, we will set up Chalice of Life. Oh, no, we'll set up the shields first. As you can see, with the team life, I am running a... I'm wondering whatchamacallit here. I'm running a level 7 and level 5 team life, and our boy has 38k life without the double life setup. So this is actually a pretty decent spot. I will say if you have really good control of the situation. Oh, actually, that's actually because he has that. That's also the added bonus of the team 4 life that I have on my stat. So just minus the 13% of whatever his, minus 16% of this. Odds are it's still in the 30 range. So that's still reasonably good. I will say if you have current good enough protection, then again, you don't have to run the life. But so as long as you don't take any damage, you should be good. So we're going to set up the damage buff here. Now this won't do, we aren't running any runes at the moment. We aren't running like any form of strength rune because again, I didn't really put any runes on them. I actually just found them in my box today. So what we'll do here is, actually doesn't do any damage without any without any strength runes. But if we did have some any form of strength runes at the moment, this would do a lot of damage. At the moment, we just don't have any strength runes. Again, do mind that we don't have any strength runes. But his base power, as you can see here, his base power is really good. It is above gospel power, so that's what's really important. To have that kind of base power is really, really good. So I think we'll just do... let's just do... Well, it doesn't matter what we do. We'll just damage this. Alright, so shield protect us? Yep, alright. So shields are also another form of protection for this man. So if you have any monsters, any supports that apply shielding, good for you. That's really good. Ukuduma also provides that. He provides 30% shields, and I do believe that's on a 1-turn cooldown too. So Ukuduma's looking like the best partner for it at this point, along with Bastet. Like Bastet for sure can easily protect Rabies, so that's really good. Because she can give the 120% shield, so we'll do that right now. There we go. Normally we'd set up the double life. So yeah, as you can see here, it applies a 30% shield, and it's only on a 1-turn cooldown for everybody. We will do the energy refiller. This is just a dungeon fight. Again, this is just, we can't really use, I used to do multi-battles with these videos. I can't anymore because all of them were over 100. I can't really find a fight that won't just get this guy pub stomped right away and not be able to showcase, all of his stuff. We're going to go for Mind Heat here because we need to do the setup because all these things are fire, ironically, so we're not going to do a whole lot of damage until we do that. So we have to do that. Let's damage this man. Let's do Power Drainer. I should have probably done the AoE damage boost again. to continue giving damage to Rabies. Again, we do not have a strength there. That's enough. I want you guys to be just to make sure of that, because this would be doing way more damage if we were running like a level 5 at the very least. This would be doing a lot more damage than it is. As you can see here, since we did do the setup, this overkills everything at this point. 18, 18k damage without any runes. So the base damage is really high. Double life. As you can see, with our setup, we are able to sustain our Rabies. He still has the. Does he still have the shield up? No, he does not. We can still do the shield move. Let's do some protection. Since we have the double life up, that did increase our 30% shield, making it a Rabies life there at an 18k shield, which is pretty handy. So it does combo well, and we can just do senile protection to overlap that. I don't believe the shields stack anymore. Yeah, shields don't stack anymore. Back in the day, shields used to stack, and it was pretty crazy. Here's the damage boost and precision. And this will be not game quite yet, but it's almost there. We got the violence skill again. We'll do that on the legendary. Not going to take any damage from that because, again, we're shielded. Got to recharge. Now, I will say, this man is able to run a sword relic. So if you have the Jakugan sword relic, it could give him AoE damage. Because when you hit a monster, I believe, it also procs, sword procs at that point, and does like a max of like 12k, I think, damage to everyone. So that could give him some AoE damage that he really, really needs. As you can see here, Fighting Frenzy doesn't do all that much damage, but again, we run it for the utility. We run it for the fact it doesn't do any damage. In the case of the event, we don't have the life for it. We can essentially use this skill and possibly knock out the enemy monster while we're under a damage boost. Again, we're not running any strength rune, and this does about like 9k damage, so this would do more. This would do way more if we were running damage. As you can see here, the fights don't end all that quickly when you run this monster, simply because he doesn't have AoE damage. Again, that's one of the drawbacks to running the monster, along with having to make sure he doesn't actually die from his kit. Alrighty, so that was Rabies in combat. So final thoughts on that. Rabies is Ukuduma, his best partner, easily. Rabies is not Rabies. Ukuduma, again, good with him. Anything that can sustain his life, protect his life, healing and shielding are this man's best friends. Do run him with those kind of monsters. If you run something with if you run like a support with Team Life, then you can run this guy with 2 strengths and a speed. Just make sure that support does not die at all during the course of the battle. You need him to be alive and well and not die on you. So that's about it for this video. I'm Dib the Awesome, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.